Yeah. Yeah, what a waste of time last night's main event was. What a waste of time. Because my thoughts always went from the moment that they remade this fight, literally giving Lopez a rematch when Volk just beat him off of Volk's last fight last year in April. That, yeah, I mean, there's always the chance that Lopez may have found that power shot, that once in a blue moon power shot to put out Volk's lights. But Volk is just way too high Q of a fighter and way too skilled and literally the best featherweight of all time to leave the chances of that the chances of finding of Lopez finding that opening were very slim, very slim. And yeah, just as predicted, Volk gets it done again. Looked even sharper and better doing it in the rematch. A pretty decisive victory. I had Volk pretty much up 3 rounds and going into the fourth, but maybe people could argue it was 2-1. Either way, overall, 4-1 for Volk. Just an absolutely masterclass and tactical and beautiful. Another 5-round decision. This was very, very eerily similar to the first fight. Very similar. And yeah, UFC 325 in the books. Let's talk about it, right? So Lopez, he's got that aura now. He's coming in mustache Lopez after losing to Volk. Goes in there, elbows Silva. The UFC decides to gift him the title shot again because it's the money fight. It's the popular fight. It's the more stylistically sound fight than a Murphy or Evloev apparently. And they go and they give him this immediate rematch with Volk, who Volk coming off his last fight was Lopez to get the vacant belt. But yeah, it was very similar of a fight to the first fight. Like Volk just fading a lot of stances, finding his shots, peppering in some combos. Takedowns weren't really working for Volk, so he then had to just adjust and kind of just keep it on the feet. And Lopez, you could tell Lopez had so much more of a respect for Volkanovski. I mean, there were points in the fight where he was trying to throw a flurry of his fast, rapid combos to try and find that power shot, that knockout shot on Volk for Lopez. And I was getting nervous at certain points, and then Lopez almost had like that choke at the end with Volk. But ultimately, just a beautifully fought fight by Volk. He seemed to have a creative and crafty way of getting out of everything that Lopez was throwing at him, and just being the more skillful, experienced uh, legend that he is. He's a legend. Literally was the only fighter to become champion at 35 or older in the lighter weight classes. Now comes in this fight at 37 years old, right? He's 37 or 38 and gets, once again, defends the title. I mean, listen, again, I thought this fight was a waste of time, which clearly it translated to be. Like, I really think we should have gone in Volk versus either Evloev or Murphy, give him a new, fresh matchup to add to the legacy. But this, of course, continues to add to the legacy. I mean, think about it. Volk, everything he's done prior to the Islam and Topuria losses. Okay, then he gets beaten by two of the greatest fighters of this generation. But then he comes back. And Topuria's the only featherweight he's ever lost to. Then he comes back, beats a dangerous fighter like Diego Lopez, and then goes right back in there and beats him again, handedly. Like, very decisive, very straightforward, no debates about it. Very, like, masterclass, decisive decisions by Volk in both of these fights. So to put 2 Lopez wins on his record again in his second run as a featherweight champion in 2026 is absolutely insane. So just take a sip of my coffee. And yeah, Volk is without a doubt one, not just the greatest featherweight, but one of the greatest fighters of all time. He might be top 3. Like, he just continues to do it at this level. And I was already looking ahead of this fight into the future of what it could be for Volk. I'm very happy that he didn't end up making this his retirement fight. He definitely has ambitions to at least, defend versus either Evloev or Murphy. Those two are probably going to fight it out in London now. I definitely want to see one of those guys fight Volk, and if Volk could then beat them, oh my goodness, like the resume is already insane. Like just the 3 Holloway fights, Ortega, the Korean Zombie, Yair Rodriguez. That's 8. Well, he tied Jose Aldo now for like the most featherweight title wins in history, like right 8. So yeah, Volk is just an absolute legend. Alexander the Great. But again, there's different avenues that the UFC could go here. I saw someone, MMA experts, make a take, and I actually think this is a crazy take. I don't know if the UFC really will do this, but his take was that Volk would then move up and have one more chance at getting at a lightweight belt versus Justin Gaethje. Old head versus old head, legend versus legend, instead of Gaethje and Topuria fighting it out, or Volk defending versus Movsar and Evelo. But I really highly doubt that. I highly doubt that they have Volk go to fight Gaethje when Gaethje's an interim champ that needs to fight the undisputed champ. And then you have two dangerous, undefeated featherweight contenders in the wings. One of them is going to come out on top in London, and then they're going to have to fight Volk. And that could possibly be Volk's last fight ever. I think, yeah, we were definitely in danger of losing Volk in the sport if he would have lost this fight. And I was very nervous for Volk over the course of this fight, but he made it out. As long as Volk wasn't going to get that one power shot. Actually, Lopes, I forgot this. Lopes did drop him at one point in the fight. He did find a shot and dropped him. But like Volk got right back up. Volk got right back up. And Lopes was very close. At certain points, Volk's head was like millimeters away from getting caught. So, yeah, like, I don't know what else to say, like, pretty straightforward decision win by Volk. Obviously, we could go on and on about his greatness. And I'll just say this again. But it just makes Topuria's win each better and better because he's the only featherweight ever to beat Volk in his own weight class. To do the combination that Topuria did and knock out and chin Volk when Lopes couldn't do that in 2 5-round fights. That's insane to me. Like, when I was watching last night, all I could think about is, wow, Topuria really did that to Volk. Like, the way I'm watching Volk right now, he looks like in vintage form. He looks in prime shape. He looks great. He looks sharp. His IQ is on another level. Like, Volk has been looking great still at his age. It's just amazing. So, Volk continues to reign supreme on the featherweight division, and we obviously know it's going to be either Movsar or Lerone Murphy next. And then, who knows where they go with Volk next. He thinks he might have more than one more fight left in him, but I don't know. We'll see. Until next time with Volk, I'm imagining he'll now be out to the end of 2026 potentially, and they'll save him for December or something, or they'll just save him for the next Australia card. Who knows? Or they'll make him a co-main event. So Volk gets the win. What are we gonna do with Dan Hooker? What are we gonna do with you? I really wanted to believe in Hooker for this one. I know that Benoit has been an absolute monster and marauder recently. Clearly, I mean, he did just KO and TKO Dan Hooker. Hooker once again in a bloody mess. He almost lost the same way he lost to Arman Tsarukyan. It would have been back-to-back submission triangle chokes for Dan Hooker. Like, Hooker has accumulated so much damage in every one of his fights. Like, at first, Benoit was pouring on elbows at one point, and like Hooker still wasn't cut. And I was like, how is Hooker not cut? But Hooker ended up shooting a takedown to then losing the fight. And he looked good in the beginning of this fight. He looked good in the first couple minutes. I really believed in Hooker because if Renato Moicano could outstrike Benoit and piece him up, Hooker is definitely equipped to do that. But I don't know. Hooker he frustrates me sometimes. Like, and yeah, technically this is only his second straight loss. It feels like more than that, but he did beat Gamrot, then came back and lost Arman Tsarukyan. Stepped back in on pretty like quick turnaround considering he just lost in November. He comes back and fights Benoit in late January, February. But yeah, Hooker, yeah, I would have liked to have seen him. Obviously, he's never touching gold. He just loves to fight. He loves to scrap. But this is a huge moment for Benoit. He is now going to be talked about as one of these upper level guys. We're now talking about him being in the conversations of fighting a winner of Oliveira or Holloway. I think that's reasonable. Or the loser of that fight. Potentially fighting Arman Tsarukyan because Arman still can't seem to get a title shot. So Benoit could be a formidable foe for Arman Tsarukyan in the meantime. Or even Paddy Pimblett. But Benoit is now on 4 straight wins. All by finish. And just a huge turnaround. Like, since he took those back-to-back losses by Renato Moicano and Poirier. I actually want to look at kind of who he's beaten before that. But yeah, TKO KO versus a bum like Dariush. Okay, but Hooker's a very good win. KOing and finishing Hooker. He submitted Ruffy, Prepelix, and kind of win. For Vola was a KO TKO finish. Submission. I mean, Benoit has this dude's a submission artist. He's a finishing machine. He's finished almost every single one of his wins in the UFC, which is honestly, dude, this guy needs to be talked about more. Like, now people are gonna really start to pay attention, including myself, to Benoit. But Hooker had some moments, very few. I thought maybe almost he could pull off the guillotine in this fight, as he always tries to do. I don't know what he's doing, though. Just stick to your bread and butter and stick to the feet. Like, when's the last time Dan Hooker's finished someone? Barely anyone. So, yeah, Hooker's not going to have to fight lower in the rankings. He might get out of the rank. I don't know. Whatever they do with Hooker next. But I don't know how. I got to stop believing in Dan Hooker. So, yeah, Benoit gets it done. Whoever he gets next, maybe top 5 guy. This was a very fun matchup while it lasted. Mauricio Ruffy versus Rafael Fiziev. Very early on in the fight, I think Fiziev was throwing more. He was definitely throwing more. Mauricio Ruffy was more calculated, but that just goes to show you how Mauricio fight could work. Like, this dude was really being patient, really trying to get reads on Fiziev, really taking his time. He wasn't throwing much, but he was pinpoint accuracy shots. Pinpoint accuracy. Very, technical fighting, striking style. And Ruffy's just waiting for his moment. Right? Goes into the second round. And yeah, just elite striking from Ruffy. Just perfectly times a few strikes down the middle into Fiziev. Gets Fiziev hurt. Fiziev's already on the wobbly back pedal. And Ruffy goes on to finish him with a few more strikes. Some people were saying, yeah, the ref pulled him out at the proper time. He was giving enough time. I felt like already, Fiziev was finished. I felt like the ref should have stopped it sooner. I'm like, what is this ref doing? But, not just me, but either way, Ruffy. It was very emotional, I guess, because it was really a lot for him to have to leave the Fighting Nerds, maybe, after coming off the loss and going into this fight. But, yeah, Ruffy gets a bounce back win in a big way versus a guy like Fiziev, who's been always a top 10, pretty great ranked lightweight. So now Mauricio Ruffy is getting higher into the rankings. Another fighting nerd to bounce back, by the way. Right? You got Prates, Ruffy, Gene Silva all back in the win columns after they were all losing. The last one that needs to do that is Baralio versus his fight with the Ritter in March. But yeah, Ruffy looking clean. This dude fights like he's in an anime. It was definitely funny at the face-off when he was shaking his hand. That was pretty cold. But yeah, Mauricio Ruffy gets it done. This was a horrible fight. Such an ugly fight. Tai Tuivasa, right? I got this fight right. I picked Talison Teixeira. Talison Teixeira, yeah, they both gassed out as typical heavyweights do. Tai Tuivasa kept on. I mean, I guess Tai Tuivasa was so tired. He just had to clinch with him to keep standing and keep his breath. But Tuivasa had some moments where we really could have finished Talison Teixeira in that third round. Talison Teixeira was almost about to fall. And Tuivasa was just keeping him upright. Teixeira definitely won the first 2 rounds. He was just keeping him on the ground. But Teixeira was just sitting on him. He wasn't really doing much with the top position. And it was just so frustrating. I don't know what they do with this guy. And with Tuivasa, he might be out. Like I said, he was fighting for his job. That's 6 straight losses now. He might have survived the fight, but come on, 6 straight losses. Nothing to show for it. The Australian crowd loves you still somehow. They were going crazy when he was finding some moments. I really thought he was going to do it. I thought he was going to pull off a late 3rd round finish. But they just got so tired that either guy could do really much of anything. They had to take breathers, breathing heavy, bro. They were probably seeing stars by the end of that fight. So yeah, you know, pretty trash fight by Taliesin Teixeira and Tai Tuivasa. And Quillen Salakilled. I mean, a lot of people probably, I did not know this about Quillen Salakil's game. Like, coming into this fight, a lot of people were like, yeah, yo, Salakilled to KO. To KO, another crazy styling KO. But he actually surprised, he put on a submission. And yeah, this was a layup by the UFC. The UFC needed a lock of an Australian to get a win on this card. And so they knew they had to put in Salakilled, one of the biggest prospects in the sport right now, the biggest Australian prospect for sure, coming off his crazy highlight KO versus Nasser Haqparast, to come in there and open up the Australian card with a layup fight in Jamie Malarkey and get the win, which that he did. Like, it was written on the wall already. This was gonna be a styling, showcasing performance by Quillen Salakilled, one of the biggest locks on the card. But in the way that he did it, by getting a submission, honestly, makes me. I think now that Salakilled has a much more well-rounded game than I just thought. He's not as one-dimensional. He's not as one-dimensional where he's just looking for big looping strikes. Like, this dude could strike with you and do some crazy damage with some big calculated like shots, but then he could also do that, like grapple with you and put you in a submission. Really cool from Salakilled. Really cool. I mean, listen, they're giving him layups right now, continuing to just give him layups, but I say maybe give him a top 15 ranked guy. One of the very like back end ranked guys. I think Salakilled can handle it. I think after this performance, people could see he's a much more well-rounded fighter that has a lot more to his game than just meets the eye, because people just saw one crazy head kick KO. But like, me finally seeing him in this fight, like, wow, submission now. Submission threat by Salakilled as well. Salakilled is a stud in this lightweight division and could definitely be something in the future. So yeah, he gets his big showcasing styling win in front of the Australian crowd. And yet, Tafa absolutely sucks. 2-5. Billy Icona submits him. Got that one right too. Cam Roston KO's Cody Brundage. Torres Finney needs to be cut. He's trash, bro. What the hell was that? Jacob Malkoun picks up the win. I picked Oban Elliott. That was a fight I got wrong on this card. John Mikalev submits him. Pretty nasty submission. A lot of people saying this was a robbery between Yiza and Kanofli. Pretty back and forth fight. And then the rest of these fights I did not even watch. I did pretty well, though, on picks for the main card. The only fight I got wrong was Benoit versus Hooker. I technically didn't really make an official pick, but I kind of wanted Dan Hooker to win. But I picked Volk, I picked Ruffy, I picked Teixeira, and I picked Salakilled. So yeah, really fun Australian card, guys. And yeah, UFC's back in the full swing of things. We have to get used again to seeing these. We got UFC for a bunch of back-to-back weeks now, finally. You got the Apex card coming up. Not even sure if I want to talk about it yet. Like, maybe because it's got a few better fighters than usual for fight night in the meta Apex. With Batista, Oliveira, Albazi, Argucci, Almeida versus Kuniev. That's 3 ranked fights. You got Houston with Strickland Hernandez, and then Mexico, and then Holloway versus Oliveira. Apparently, the co-main event still needs to be announced. So I wasn't such a fan of this card at first, but I didn't realize they still have to announce the co-main event. If they could put on a crazy co-main event with this main fight, then it's a pretty good card. Then Vallejos versus Emmett, and Piper versus Adesanya. You got London in between that. No doubt it's probably going to be Murphy versus Evloev. They probably were just waiting until UFC 325 was over to then hopefully announce that. But all right, guys. Yeah, that's my thoughts on UFC 325. Until next time.